the pump. Does the pump have anything to do with muscle growth? And is the pump an indicator for if you have effectively worked a particular muscle group? Well, today we are going to answer all of those questions. But before we get into that, real quick, let me introduce myself. My name is Alphonse. Here we'll talk about how to maximize results from your training with as little time in the gym and with as little risk of injury as possible. When you are contracting a muscle, there is going to be more metabolic work performed. And when a muscle is performing more metabolic work, there's going to be an increased demand for oxygen and nutrients to be delivered to that muscle and for the removal of the increased amount of waste products. And because of this, your body will send more blood to those muscles that you are working. This is what we experience as the pump. And when we are performing an exercise, the more intensely that we perform that exercise, the more metabolic work is going to have to be performed and the higher the demand for blood to be delivered to and from that muscle group that we are working. So all else being equal, a better pump would suggest that you have effectively worked a particular muscle group, since a better pump can be an indicator of greater metabolic demand, which is related to intense muscular work, which is required to stimulate increases in muscle size and strength. However, all things aren't always equal, because there are many things that can affect your pump. For example, your diet, any medications you might be taking, and of course how hydrated you are, and also actually how long your set takes to complete. Let me explain. Let's say you are aiming for a time under load of about 60 to 90 seconds, which by the way is what seems to work best for most people. Depending on how long you take to perform the exercise before you reach momentary muscular failure, you might get more or less of a pump. 90 seconds might give you more of a pump than 60 seconds will, but they're both still equally as effective. And so again, all things being equal, a greater pump could suggest that you have effectively worked a particular muscle group, but again, all things aren't always equal. And so should we rely on the pump as an indicator for if we have effectively worked a particular muscle group or not? I really wouldn't say so, since there are so many things that can affect how good of a pump we get when we're working out. Now, another thing that I also want to touch on is that we have to be careful not to confuse the pump, which is temporary, it's not going to last for hours and hours after the workout, with the swelling caused by inflammation that follows the workout. Some exercise protocols cause more microtrauma, more damage to your sarcomeres, to your muscle fibers. Now, to be clear, muscle damage does not stimulate better increases in muscular size and strength. We used to think it did, but it turns out it doesn't. Now, when we exercise, there's always going to be some muscle damage. It's basically unavoidable, but it's not necessary to stimulate increases in muscle size and muscle strength. In fact, no damage is really necessary. The only thing that more damage does is to place more of a demand for energy and resources for recovery, which we don't want. Now, like I said, there's always going to be some muscle damage and inflammation following exercise. It's basically unavoidable. But if you're training in a way which causes more muscle damage, or if you're just doing more exercise, that swelling caused by inflammation, which is largely tied to that muscle damage, can last up to several days or even a week or more. And sometimes you can actually see a continued increase in swelling over several days, depending on the amount of damage that was caused. And so we don't want to confuse the pump with the swelling. Like I said, the pump is due to increased blood flow to the muscles, which is related to increased metabolic demand, which is related to intense muscular work, which is required to stimulate increases in muscular size and muscular strength. And so some exercise protocols might appear to make you pumped for longer after the workout, but in reality you are not pumped. You just have more swelling due to inflammation because you caused more damage than necessary. And so basically, to summarize the video, we do not want to confuse the muscular pump with the swelling caused by inflammation that follows exercise, because they are not the same thing. And the pump can be an indicator for if we have effectively worked a particular muscle group, but only if all else is equal. And since all else isn't always equal, we do not want to rely on the pump as an indicator for if we have effectively worked a particular muscle group. But anyways guys, that's all for this video. I really hope you liked it. If you learned anything from this video, please don't forget to leave at least a like on this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, also don't forget to click that subscribe and ring that notification bell so you can be notified the next time I upload. But with that being said, I'll see you boys in the next video next time. Peace.